Good morning, children. Hearty welcome to all of you for today's session. Hope all are doing good. Okay, children. Today, in this session, we will discuss the remaining part of our lesson, A Legend of Northland, and the literary devices used in the poem. As we know, we have already completed the first part of the poem, and the remaining 6 stanzas are there to be finished. So before moving ahead with the new portion, I'll give you a summary of the portion that we discussed in the last class. Okay, the poem A Legend of the Northland is an age-old tale about a saint and an old lady. Now, one day, the saint, what's the name of the saint, children? Yes, Saint Peter. One day, the Saint Peter stopped by an old lady's cottage where she was baking cakes. The saint was weak with the fasting and asked the old lady to help him with the cake. The old lady kept on trying to bake a small cake for him. However, every cake that she baked seemed to be big enough to part with her for. The last cake that she baked was as small as a wafer, but she was not at all ready to give it away. Hence, she kept it on the shelf. Okay, children, we have completed this much portion. So, let me read the poem from the beginning. Away, away in the Northland, where the hours of the day are few, and the nights are so long in winter that they cannot sleep them through, where they harness the swift reindeer to the sledges when it snows, and the children look like bear's cubs in their funny furry clothes. They tell him a curious story. I don't believe it's true, and yet you may learn a lesson if I tell the tale to you. Once, when the good Saint Peter lived in the world below and walked about it preaching, just as he did, he came to the door of a cottage in traveling around the earth, where a little woman was making cakes and baking them on the hearth. And being faint with fasting, for the day was almost done, he asked her from her store of cakes to give him a single one. So she made a very little cake, but as it baking lay, she looked at it and thought it seemed too large to give away. Therefore, she needed another, still and smaller one. But it looked, when she turned it over, as large as the first had done. Then she took a tiny scrap of dough and rolled it flat and baked it thin as a wafer, but she couldn't part with that. Children, it's wafer, not wafer, wafer. Once again, let me read that stanza. Then she took a tiny scrap of dough and rolled it flat and baked it thin as a wafer, but she couldn't part with that. For she said, my cakes that seem too small when I eat of them myself are yet too large to give away. So she put them on the shelf. This much portion we have finished. So let's move on to the new portion. 6 more stanzas are there. So let's see what's happening there. Okay. Then good Saint Peter grew angry. Have you seen the third stanza, children? That's the portion that we want to start today. Then good Saint Peter grew angry, for he was hungry and faint, and surely such a woman was enough to provoke a saint. So what's happening there, children? Then good saint grew angry. Saint Peter, he became very angry. What's the reason, children? Because he was very hungry, and at the same time he was feeling very weak. Okay, so the selfish woman The age-old lady, she was not at all ready to give him even a small piece of cake. So this behavior of the greedy woman angered the saint. Okay, provoke means make someone anger. So then good Saint Peter grew angry, for he was hungry and faint, and surely such a woman was enough to provoke a saint. I hope you got the meaning of the stanza. Once again, I'll tell you the meaning or the content of the stanza. Saint Peter became very angry because he was very hungry. He was feeling very weak. Then what's the condition or what's the approach of the selfish woman? Yes, the selfish woman, she was not at all ready to give him even a small piece of cake. This behavior of the greedy woman angered the saint, or this kind of behavior of the greedy woman angered Saint Peter. Last stanza. And he said, "You are far too selfish to dwell in a human form, to have both food and shelter and fire to keep you warm." So here in this stanza, Saint Peter is saying something to the age-old greedy woman. So first of all, let's see the meaning of the word dwell. Have you seen the word, children? Yes, second line, to dwell in a human form. You are far too selfish to dwell in a human form. Dwell means to live, L-I-V-E, to live. So Saint Peter said that she was very selfish. You are far too selfish. She was very selfish. She did not deserve to live like a human being. So Saint Peter says she did not deserve to live like a human being. Then he added one more thing. God had given her food, shelter, and fire to keep her warm. But she had become selfish for all the resources she had. She had food, she had shelter, and she had enough fire to keep her warm. Yet she had become selfish for all the resources she had, or for all the comforts she had. She did not want to share them with anybody. Okay, you are far too selfish to dwell in a human form. You are not deserve, or you did not have the courage to share something to anybody. Okay, you are far too selfish to dwell in a human being or human form. So Saint Peter says that she was very selfish. She did not have, or she did not deserve to live like a human being. Then he added one more thing. God had given her food, shelter, and fire to keep her warm. But she had become selfish for all these comforts she had. She did not want to share them with anybody. Okay. Now you shall build as the birds do, and shall get your scanty food by boring and boring and boring all day in the hard, dry wood. So here, let's see the new words. Scanty. Have you seen the word scanty? It's a C-A-N-T-Y. Scanty means very little. Boring, borewell. Have you heard about borewell? Okay, so what's the meaning of boring? Here, boring, make a hole in something with a tool or by digging. Make a hole in something with a tool or by digging. Okay, so here, Saint Peter, he cursed the woman. Did you get the word, children? C-U-R-S-E-D. So here Saint Peter cursed the woman that she would become a bird. She would become a bird because she did not deserve the human form. He said that she would get very little food by digging the wood. She would work hard all day in the hard, dry wood to make a small place for herself to live in. So, have you seen this picture here? Yes. See, here is the picture of a woodpecker. So, what happened to her, children? Yes, Saint Peter cursed the woman that she would become a bird. She would become a woodpecker. What's the reason, children? Because she did not deserve the human form, because she was so much greedy. She was that much greedy. She did not want to share anything to anybody. So Saint Peter cursed the woman that she would become a bird because she did not deserve the human form. He said that she would get very little food, by how, children? By digging the wood. Have you seen this? You know what is a woodpecker, or have you seen it before? Woodpecker. So what it would do? It would work hard all day in the hard, dry wood to make a small place for herself to live in. Understood? So here is the condition of the lady. Because of the curse of Saint Peter, she became a woodpecker. What's the reason, children? Saint Peter cursed the woman. What's the reason? Because she would become a bird because she did not deserve the human form. She did not have the quality, or she did not have the virtue to share anything with anybody. Okay, so he said that she would get very little food, or very little food, by digging the wood. She would work hard all day in the hard, dry wood to make a small place for herself to live in. Okay, so let's move on to the next stanza. Then up she went through the chimney, never speaking a word, and out of the top flew a woodpecker, for she was changed to a bird. Okay, so what's happening there, children? Yes, as soon as Saint Peter cursed the woman. Yes, we know Saint Peter cursed the woman and she became a woodpecker. Okay, so as soon as Saint Peter cursed the woman, she did not get a chance to speak for herself. She did not get a chance to speak for herself. Have you seen the picture? What happened to her? Because that very moment she flew up to the roof through the chimney. Have you seen the picture? She flew up to the roof through the chimney of the house and flew out in the form of a bird. So Saint Peter's curse had converted the woman into a bird, a woodpecker. Clear? Saint Peter's curse had converted the woman, the greedy woman, into a bird, and she became a woodpecker now. Once again, children, the two stanzas. Now you shall build us the birds do, and shall get you a scanty food. Scanty means very little. Scanty food. By how, children? By boring and boring and boring. By digging and digging and digging all day in the hard, dry wood. Then up she went through the chimney, never speaking a word, and out of the top flew a woodpecker, for she was changed to a bird. For means because she was changed to a bird. She was changed to a woodpecker because of Saint Peter's curse. That woman, that greedy woman, had converted into a bird. She transformed into a bird, a woodpecker. Clear? Next answer. She had a scarlet cap on her head, and that was left the same, but all the rest, her clothes were burned, black as a coal in the flame. And every country schoolboy has seen her in the wood, where she lives in the trees till this very day, boring and boring for food. Okay, see, these are the concluding stanzas, children. Okay, let's see the content of the first one. She had a scarlet cap on her head. Scarlet means brilliant red color. She had a brilliant red colored cap on her head. She had a scarlet cap on her head. Brilliant red colored cap on her head. And that was left the same. What's the meaning of and that was left the same? See, when the woman turned into a bird, when the woman turned into a woodpecker, at that time she was wearing a red colored cap on her head. At that time she was wearing a red colored cap on her head. The cap was on the bird's head too. Have you seen the picture? See, the red colored cap. It's on the bird's head too. But the woman's remaining clothes, it had turned burned. It had turned black in color, just like a coal. Have you seen the picture? Yes. The rest of the body, what's its color, children? Yes, its body is black in color. So what had happened, children? Yes, the cap was on the bird's head too. There is no difference. It's red in color or it's scarlet in color. What's the color? Scarlet, brilliant red color. So when the woman turned into a bird, at that time she was wearing a red colored cap on her head. That cap was there on the bird's head still, but the woman's remaining clothes had it burned and it turned black in color, just as coal, or just like a coal. What's the color of coal? Black in color. Did you understand? So that's in that paragraph, in that stanza. Yes, she had a scarlet cap on her head, and that was left the same. And that was left the same means the cap was on the bird's head too. When it changed, or when the woman changed to, or when the woman converted to a woodpecker, that had its color. It's still on the head of the bird. That cap was on the bird's head too, but the woman's remaining, but all the rest of her clothes were burned. Why, children? Because she disappeared, or she flew up to the roof through the chimney. Then what happened to her? Yes, the rest of her remaining clothes, or the woman's remaining clothes, had burned and turned black in color, just like a coal. Have you seen the last two lines? All the rest of her clothes were burned black as a coal in the flame. See, here it is. Yes. Have you seen her picture? Yes. So when she flew up to the roof through the chimney and flew out in the form of a bird, then what is its color, children? Its color has changed to black. By how? The woman's remaining clothes had burned and turned black in color, just like a coal. Okay. So the last stanza, the concluding stanza. And every country schoolboy has seen her in the wood, where she lives in the trees till this very day, boring and boring for food. What's the meaning of country, children? Country schoolboy. Country means belonging to the countryside. That's a rural area. So every country schoolboy has seen her in the wood. So people who live in the countryside, or children who live in the countryside, even the small children, when they go to school, they have seen this kind of birds in the woods. So they see that the bird stay there all day and keeps on digging the wood with her beak to collect her food. Okay, so what's happening there, children? The small boys or the country school boys, when they go to school, they would see the same bird or woodpecker stays there all day and keeps on digging the wood with her beak to collect her food, or to make a living by making a hole in that wood, dry wood. So whenever a child sees this kind of bird, whenever a child sees this kind of a bird means this kind of a woodpecker, then his elders tell him this story. What's the story, children? They said that the bird was a woman earlier. She was very greedy, and so she was cursed by Saint Peter, and she turned into a bird. So by hearing the story, the children would get a lesson that they should not be greedy. So that is what is the moral of the lesson, children. We should not be greedy. We should be compassionate to our fellow beings. Okay, so that is what is the concluding stanza. Once again, I'll read it to you. And every country schoolboy has seen her in the wood, where she lives in the trees till this very day, boring and boring for food. Do you remember the meaning of boring? Boring means digging. So every country boy who has seen her in the wood, where she lives in the trees till this very day. Today we can see the woodpecker. What it would do, children? Yes, the bird stays there all day and keeps on digging the wood with her beak to collect her food, and at the same time to make a hole to live there. Okay, so whenever a child sees this kind of bird, his elders would tell him the story of the greedy lady. Clear? So what's the theme of the lesson, children? We should not be greedy. Clear? Okay, now let's discuss the literary devices in the poem. As I told you earlier, the literary devices. Okay, let's move on to the first portion. Yes, so the rhyme scheme. First of all, let's discuss the rhyme scheme, or let's identify what's the rhyme scheme of the poem. Okay, so you can underline the four words. Which words, children? Yes, the last words of each line of the first stanza. See, here it is. The first lines, last word, Northland. Underline Northland, few. Then third line, winter and through. So, which are the words, children? Northland, few, winter and through. Northland. So, there you can mark A. Northland, A. Then the next word is few. Northland and few, they do not rhyme each other. So we can mark number B, or first letter A and the second letter for few B. And the third one winter. That one also does not rhyme with the Northland or few. Then we can mark there C. Okay, so first one A, second line B, third winter C, and the last one through. So what's the specialty of through, children? Few, few and through, they rhyme each other. So again you can mark there B. So Northland A, few B, winter C, through again B, because few and through, they rhyme each other. So what's the rhyme scheme of the poem, children? The rhythm of the words. What's the rhyme scheme? A, B, C, B. So the rhyme scheme of the poem is A, B, C, B. So you can check the remaining stanzas. There you can see, or there you will understand that the same rhyme scheme is following in each and every stanza of the poem. As I told you, there are 16 stanzas. Each and every stanza followed the same rhyme scheme. So what's the rhyme scheme? A, B, C, B. Okay, so once again, children, see the second stanza. The last word, underline reindeer. Second one, snows. Third one, cubs. Fourth one, clothes. Okay, so listen here. Reindeer, A. Snows, B. Third one, cubs, Z. And the fourth one, clothes. Snows and clothes rhyme each other. Snows and clothes rhyme each other, not the snows, cubs, clothes. They are not same. Reindeer, A. Snows, B. Cubs, C. And clothes. Snows and clothes rhyme each other. So again we can see the same rhyme scheme, A, B, C, B. Okay. So now let's discuss the poetic devices used in the poem. So the first one, alliteration. Do you remember alliteration? Alliteration is the repetition of a consonant sound in two or more close words. Do you remember? Alliteration is the repetition of a consonant sound in two or more close words. So a lot more examples are there, children. In the first stanza, there is an example for alliteration. See the first stanza. Fourth line, that they cannot sleep them through. That th is there. They th is there. Them again th. Through th. So the syllable th, the sound, the sound is repeating. Okay, they, the, them, through. The sound is repeating. In stanza 2, there also we can see an example for alliteration. And the children look like a bear's cubs. The children look like a bear's cub. Look like. The sound L is repeating. The sound L is repeating. In the next line itself. Funny, furry. Funny, furry. The sound F is repeated. A lot more examples are there in the poem, children. There you can see. If you read it clearly or if you read it thoroughly, you will get a lot more examples for alliteration. Then once again, children, I shall repeat what is alliteration. Alliteration is the repetition of a consonant sound in two or more close words or in two or more consecutive words. Alliteration is the repetition of a consonant sound in two or more close words. Okay, a lot more examples are there. You just find it out by yourself. Clear? And the next poetic device or literary device used in the poem is repetition. See, here in the first line itself, away in the Northland. Which word is repeated, children? In stanza 1, the first line. In the first line itself, we can see an example for repetition. You know what is repetition? Any word or sentence or a phrase is repeated to lay emphasis on it. any word or sentence is repeated to lay emphasis on it. So in stanza 1 you can see the word away is repeated. In stanza 9 there you can see rolled. The word rolled is repeated. Have you seen that? Rolled, R-O-L-L-E-D. So here it is, children. And then she took a tiny scrap of dough and rolled it flat. So the word rolled is repeated. And in stanza 13 and 16 there also you can see the word boring. The word boring is repeated. Okay, so that is what is the second literary device, repetition. Then the next one is enjambment. What do you mean by enjambment? Yes, running lines of poetry from one line to the next line without using any kind of punctuations. See here in the first stanza itself we can see an example for enjambment. Once again, running lines of poetry from one line to the next without using any kind of punctuation marks. See the first stanza. And the nights are so long to winter that they cannot sleep them through. After winter there is no punctuation mark. What about the case of Northland? After Northland there is a comma, after few there is a comma, but what about after winter? No punctuation marks at all. So that is an example for enjambment. E-N-J-A-M-B-M-E-N-T. Enjambment. Don't forget, children, don't forget to write the notes, children. Notes will be given, literary devices the notes will be given along with this session, so don't forget to write it in your notebook. Okay, what do you mean by enjambment? Enjambment means running lines of poetry from one to the next without using any kind of punctuation mark. Clear? Okay, another example is there in the second stanza. There you can see, and the children look like a bear's cubs. And the children look like a bear's cubs in their funny furry clothes. See, after cubs there is no punctuation mark. Then the first line, when they harness the swift reindeer to the sledges when it snows. After reindeer also there is no punctuation mark. After cubs also there is no punctuation mark. So these are the examples of enjambment. So a lot more examples are there in stanza 1, 3 and 4, in stanza 2, 1 and 2, 3 and 4, and in stanza 3, line 3 and 4. A lot more examples are there. When you read the poem thoroughly, you can see a lot more examples are there for enjambment. Okay, so our last literary device used in the poem is simile. What do you mean by simile? Simile means it's a comparison. It's a direct comparison in between two similar things. So here comparison is using, or simile is comparison by using the words like as or like, as, us, or like. Okay, let me give you an example. In stanza 2, see, and the children look like bear's cubs. What do you mean by that, children? Children look like bear's cubs. Children here in this stanza, the children, they are compared to bear's cubs. By how, children? In their funny furry clothes. Because of their funny furry clothes, the children, they are compared to bear's cubs. One more example is there, children. Yes, in stanza 9. Yes, see, then took a tiny scrap of dough and rolled it flat and baked it thin as a wafer. Have you seen that? Baked it thin as a wafer. You know what is wafer? What it is, children? I have given you the meaning of wafer. Wafer is a thin piece of something. So, and baked it thin as a wafer. So here the cake is compared to a wafer, something that is very thin. So another example for simile. And in stanza 15, yes, in stanza 15, clothes were burned black as a coal. Have you seen that? Clothes were burned black as a coal. Yes, here it is. Second last stanza. But all the rest of her clothes were burned black as a coal in the flame. So here also we can see the poetic device simile is used. Clothes were burned black as a coal. So the color of the clothes, the color of the burned clothes is compared to that of coal. You know what's the color of coal? So here is the picture of, see, here it is. So the color or the clothes of the woman, they were burned black, just like a coal. So the clothes were burned black as a coal. So the color of the burned clothes is compared to that of coal. So these are the poetic devices used in the poem, children. So here comes an end of today's session, children. And don't forget to read the portion or read the poem thoroughly. Okay, then the literary devices notes is given. Write it down neatly and send it to me. Children, thank you. Have a nice day.